All right.
Hi, I am scottryan, your host for the Red Room podcast today, and I have a very exciting guest. We have Eleri Ward, who did A Perfect Little Death, which is an album of Sondheim songs played on acoustic guitar, like everyone does. Welcome to the show, Eleri.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. I'm honored to be here.
Thank you. And I just love the CD. Let's start with, what was your gateway into Sondheim?
Sondheim was kind of always around. I mean, he's such an iconic voice in music and in theater, and I've done theater my whole life. So he was kind of just always there, but it wasn't until I was in high school. I went to an arts high school in Chicago, and my teachers there were big Sondheim people. We kind of always did a Sondheim show once a year, and we always studied Sondheim scenes and shows throughout the year. And that really was like the first time I had truly delved into the canon and into his world. And it truly changed my life. Every single like scene study that we did of Sondheim work was just like my favorite thing in the world. And it made me aware that there was more to musical theater than I had known previously, especially when you are young. Musical theater is a specific brand that maybe isn't as deep or as thoughtful. And so being a teenager and like understanding that there was more to theater than what I had previously experienced was very exciting, and it made me feel very seen.
So what do you have a cast album during that time that really lit your fire? Like when you were in high school, was there a certain cast album that got you into everything?
Well, what's funny about me, and I always say, I admit this with trepidation every time I say this, but I don't really listen to cast albums.
That's okay.
I it's not something that really I connect with or enjoy, but if I were to say one, it would definitely be Company. I did Company when I was in high school. LOL, like
Who'd you play?
Amy, which was like my favorite, one of my favorite things. But I mean, obviously, I went to a very special school taught by very special teachers who gave us the opportunity to do that show and entrusted us with that show. And I just remember us learning the opening number on the first day of music rehearsal. I was like 16 years old at this point. And I was just like, I've never, like, it already was one of my favorite musicals. I had watched the like revival with Raul Esparza.
Isn't he unbelievable in that?
Yeah. And at that age, I was like, this is the coolest thing in the world. And actually learning the music was a different experience that just like, I don't know, that show will just always have a special place in my heart. And it really just opened something in me that I had never experienced before, especially when learning the music. It just shifted my perspective in a way that I just hold so dear.
So since you aren't so much into cast albums, is there a performer that you really like from Broadway, like their solo stuff, or was just that not the kind of music you were listening to, really?
I've never listened to musical theater ever. I mean, like,
I love this, by the way. I think that's awesome that still you're attracted to Sondheim and this isn't your thing. Because I love Sondheim, and all my friends know that I'm crazy for Sondheim. But then they'll say to me, like, are you going to go see Matilda? It's coming, around here. And I'm like, no, I'm not going to see Matilda. Like, it doesn't mean I feel like if you love Sondheim, it doesn't exactly mean that you love Broadway. It's not that I don't love Broadway, but they're different to me.
Yeah. And I mean, I'm a musical theater actor. Like my goal is to be on Broadway. And I love musical theater. I even love some of the really cheesy stuff, I've got to say, but like listening to musical theater, like in my leisure and like my spare time is not something that like really fills me up. I'm not sure what that is.
I love it.
There really are only a handful of cast recordings that like make me feel something when I just listen to them, and like it's like Spring Awakening. So like it makes sense that it like works out of context of the plot. And I think maybe that's what it is to me, there's like an honoring of the plot and the show itself that the music is so like tethered to in my mind that taking it out and just listening to it feels wrong. I don't know. I'm not sure what it is, but
so, this was going to be a question for you later, but you're a female who plays guitar. So I want to ask you about my other favorites, and it's okay because you already said you don't listen to musical theater, so it's okay to not like them. But what about the Indigo Girls? Do you know anything about?
Yeah, I've heard of the Indigo Girl. I haven't really like delved into it, but I feel like so many people have been like, "Oh, you'd be perfect for this show," or like you would, because there's a likeness in the style that I am attracted to. I just haven't really like delved into it. I don't know. I'm really weird about what I listen to. I'm a super obsessive listener to music. So if I like something, it's like that's the only thing I listen to.
What are you obsessed with right now?
Well, this is so embarrassing.
No, this is a safe zone.
I have listened to the same album over and over and over again for the past year and a half, 2 years.
Okay.
It's Pang by Caroline Polachek, who is one of my like ultimate inspirations and influences. I mean, she even listening to this album influenced my Sondheim album. She just like kind of changed my life finding this album. And while I do listen to other things and I have other favorite artists that like I listen to, but the primary spotlight of my listening has been this album. I cannot get enough of it. I've never had an album or an artist overtake me in such a way like this before. Like I've always listened to albums obsessively where it's the only thing that I listen to, but then I sort of like move on to the next. And Pang is something that I continue to draw inspiration from it. It's like a well that just never runs dry for me.
So people could be listening to us on YouTube, and if they're on YouTube, there'll be no music in this. But if you go to the Red Room podcast on iTunes and listen to this as a podcast, I'm going to edit music in. So I don't know who this Pain is. So give me a song that we should get a snippet of.
So Caroline Polachek,
the album is Pain.
Pang, yeah, Pang.
Okay, give me a song and we're going to listen to like 10 seconds of it.
It's going to be Door. Door is my all-time favorite song.
Okay, so now we know what she likes. So if you're on YouTube, go to the podcast because YouTube won't let us do it. So let's get to A Perfect Little Death. What about that title though? I mean, you did it before Sondheim died, but now it kind of hurts a little bit.
Yeah, I was not, I obviously did not know what this album would mean when I originally
created that's crazy.
Yeah, but what's so beautiful though is like, this is that idea of like that, as we were just talking about Pang, it is Pang. It is, I feel like Sondheim talks about that specific feeling in a way that no one else has. And it's a feeling that I am very attracted to, even in my own music that I write. Like talking about conflict, yet it feeling so good. Like that is something I am obsessed with that concept. And A Perfect Little Death is that hurts so good. It's bittersweet. I'm hurting, but I love it. And the juxtaposition of those two things makes for something so human and complicated and beautiful and messed up that I just like, I can't get enough of that. And even with Sondheim's passing, like he did have that, like it hurt. And yet I was like, you went out, he like had just spent Thanksgiving with his family and was like loved, and he lived such a long life and it was so fruitful, and he gave so many gifts and left such beauty behind him, and like went peacefully. Like, I don't know, it's kind of strange how, I don't know. It makes me emotional.
Yeah, I mean, it was a rough Thanksgiving for everyone. And you sing Every Day a Little Death, which that lyric is from. And I actually have a book coming out in May about Twin Peaks, and I quote Every Day a Little Death as my quote that starts it, because it's a lot about death in Twin Peaks. Tell me about Every Day a Little Death. How did you approach this song?
So this was the first song I ever did. And I was not thinking about creating some project or an album ever at all. Oh my God. So it was in February of 2019. I was in New York, just like pounding the pavement, grinding it out, audition season. And people that I would know at auditions would come up to me and say, "Hey, how are you doing? Like, how's it going?" And I offhandedly was like, "Every day a little death," as a joke. And then like, I was kind of using it as this like one-liner because it was perfectly describing how I felt. It was like going to auditions and trying to do what I love every day while like dying a little bit while doing it. And I had the song stuck in my head. And when I have a song stuck in my head, I do one or two of these two things. I either listen to it obsessively or I do a cover of it. And so I did a cover of it just like in my room. I barely knew how to play the guitar at that point. So I was just like using a capo and like these 3 or 4 chords. And I posted it to Instagram and titled the caption Sufjan on Sondheim, because I'm a huge Sufjan Stevens fan. I was like, if Sufjan Stevens wrote the song, this is probably what it would sound like. And he probably would have written that song maybe in a parallel universe. And my friends were like, "Oh my God, I love this idea. Like, this is amazing." And my friend Harper was like, "Please make this a series." And at that point I was like, yeah, this is like my bread and butter, like Sufjan Stevens and Stephen Sondheim, like this is yes. So the next day, I came up with Joanna Reprise, and just like in my apartment, this was very beginning of March, 2019. And then I just, Every Day a Little Death, that Instagram post that I just randomly decided to do for my own enjoyment became this whole idea.
So I have always liked the reprise of Joanna more than Joanna. I just always really gravitated to that. And I think that I heard that version on Jessica Malaski's radio show.
Yeah.
I think that's where I discovered you, I'm pretty sure. And then they were saying Joanna, and I thought, okay, because everyone sings Joanna. But as soon as it started, I'm like, what? She's doing the reprise. And like, I immediately got your CD because I was so excited.
Oh my God, it makes me so happy.
It's my favorite song on the whole album. I'm obsessed with it. I mean, I'm not going to listen to it every day for a year and a half. But
please, no, I don't wish that on anyone.
But why the reprise for you? Why not do the first one that everyone does?
Well, I'm thinking back to when I initially created that arrangement, and I don't even know. I mean, Sweeney Todd is like one of my top Sondheim shows, if not my top. And I just wanted to do something Sweeney, and I just thought it would be really cool to do all four voices in like a different way. It just was like speaking to me when I was just looking at the track listing of the show. And I honestly cannot tell anyone how I come up with these things. They just sort of happen. So I don't know how that arose, but it also is one of my favorite parts of the show, as like grim as that sounds.
Well, that's just some people dying.
Yeah, but like it just made me realize, oh, outside of what's happening on stage and what the plot is, like every aspect of this song is a love song and a yearning for something that each of these characters don't have, including the beggar woman. And so I just was like sort of entranced by that idea that like outside of the staging of this and like the plot of this, like this is actually a love song from just multiple different perspectives and points of view. And I just found that really cool. So yeah, I don't know how I like.
Well, I'm glad you did, because it literally is what sucked me into doing more research on you beyond just hearing it come by on the radio or whatever. So you can thank them for this interview. So, but before we leave Sweeney, I gotta say your Ballad of Sweeney Todd really helped me understand the lyrics more. Like I felt like I heard them clearer. I mean, you would know because you've never listened to the cast album, but everybody is singing.
I never said I never.
I know. But like, I feel like you really get the lyrics. I don't know that I've ever heard anyone cover that song before, to be honest.
I mean, I don't know why they would, honestly. I remember when I like was doing it, I was like, this is so weird, but I really need to do this. Because then it turned into like, kind of a lot of folk songs are like stories and stories about people and like their life and kind of these like epic tales in folk song form. And even like Sufjan Stevens does things kind of like that. And so it was just cool to me that it could be this story song. That was what hooked me to like do that as an idea. And I was like, I don't even care if this is like the weirdest thing anyone's ever heard. I needed to do it.
Well, to me, it reminds me of a Bob Dylan song. I mean, because it does have that folk appeal to it, and you could really hear Bob Dylan doing it in that way with just an acoustic guitar back in the 60s up on a stage. And it does work. And you're right, it is weird. I was surprised it was on there, but
yeah, I was listening to John Wayne Gacy Jr. by Sufjan Stevens, which is similar in terms of like this story about this like creepy man. And it's like hauntingly beautiful, which is off-putting. Like the subject matter is so unsettling, but the music is like kind of hypnotic in this lovely way. And I was listening to it on an airplane and I was like, this could be Sweeney Todd.
I love it. So Finishing the Hat is definitely in my top 2 Sondheim songs. I struggle between Finishing the Hat and Putting It Together as picking as my favorite, all-time favorite Sondheim song. And I love that you don't play with the pronouns at all in it. You just sing it as written. And I got this idea that I can't wait to put past you and see what you think about this. I don't know if this is already in your head, but I hope it is the next time you have to sing it live. But I think you're Dot in this song. And I think it works. Like when you're saying, yes, she looks for me good, you know, she's kind of like wishing he would say these things.
Oh my God. Yeah, no, I had never,
And it works. Like I thought about it the whole way as if she's standing there watching him. She knows he's creating this art and it's bigger than their love. But then she says, you know, does he want to be waiting for this woman when you return to the night? I know I just butchered that lyric, but so what was your thought in not changing the pronouns?
Well, my thing is like, this music is so universal in so many ways that, well, my kind of, and I know I've already mentioned this, but taking these songs out of not only the plot itself, but in a theatrical context at all, and seeing what stories they tell and what light they shed on these subject matters. And finishing the hat to me is just like, it is the artist's struggle of staying present while also creating and being in your creative bubble. And yeah, I didn't change any of the lyrics or much of the skeleton of any of the melodies. I added like certain little changes here and there, but the melodies were the backbone to all of my arrangements. And it's like, I also, from just a contemporary perspective, like being a woman, why do the pronouns have to change?
Right.
You know, like why do, you know, she can still be looking for me and I can still be experiencing the same thing as George, who is a man, and being in love with a woman, or just grappling with these conflicts that each and every single one of these songs is grappling with from my own distanced perspective from where they originated from. That really was my perspective on all of this.
Well, I think it helps because then we're not distracted by it. You know, like you say, we know these songs and it's performing that way. I have tried to sing Finishing the Hat before. It doesn't go so well. I'm no Mandy Patinkin and I struggle with the octave jump. What about you? Was it a hard song for you to sing? Because when you get to the when she's always running, like that is high. How did you handle that in your arrangement?
To be honest, with all of these songs, I sang them just how my voice would naturally come out. And I do have quite a large range, so rangy things don't really necessarily like feel like an obstacle to me, but it's more so like, what vocal quality am I taking on with those shifts and those jumps so as to emphasize them and highlight them in my own way. My biggest thing was just, I want to sing these songs without any idea or preconceived notion of how they should sound, but rather just how it comes out of me, because that feels best.
Mm-hmm. So there's a Sondheim song that I have never liked, and you know, I think of it as being a Barbara Cook song because I think she sings it the most, but it's In Buddy's Eyes, and I have it on a bunch of things, and I've never liked it. I mean, go ahead and Sondheim police come and arrest me. I don't like In Buddy's Eyes, and it's my second favorite song on your CD.
Oh my God, love it. That is super happy.
And like, I feel like I got it for the first time. Like I never really, I don't know. I'm also not that much of a Barbara Cook fan. I mean, she's great, but you know, it's not my thing. If you can admit, yeah, I mean, it's just fine. But so an unfair question to you, why do I like your In Buddy's Eyes? What did you bring to it that, and I mean, I really didn't like this song before. It's like, it would be in my bottom three Sondheim songs of all time. And it is.
Meanwhile, there's this Barbara Cook performance of her singing this song in this like periwinkle like pantsuit that is like one of my favorite videos.
And see, I think that's Follies in Concert, and that's the one I don't like.
Sure. Yeah, and
I don't like it.
And that I love that you don't like it because that is what makes life and art interesting.
Right.
But it was that video that my best friend and I had always been obsessed with, that I was like, this song needs to be on the album, because this video has been just like a part of my like musical theater geekness for a while. And yeah, I'm not sure, but I feel like there really is something about stripping everything away that allows the meaning and the heartbreak and the yearning to come out. It allows for space for all of those things to breathe. And perhaps it's like, I think Losing My Mind takes her character's issues further and a little bit more in an obvious way. Whereas in Buddy's Eyes is similar to Losing My Mind, but it's like unhinged in this way where she still is like thinking in this fantastical world of them being together. And I think it can seem a little bit boring, and you can miss the nuance of the struggle and the pain behind that if you're not really just like opening it up and like being raw with it. So maybe that's what it is. Because I really focus on the like, I mean, she has this vision of what their love is and what he is to her, but highlighting that actually highlights how it's so off, like that it's not real. And that's what hurts. I don't know. I love that.
Well, it was so interesting because when I saw the songs coming down, I saw In Buddy's Eyes is coming, and I'm thinking, I really want to skip this, because I know I don't like it. And then there's something about the arrangement, the way it comes in, and it was so weird to me. Like, I'm still baffled by why I like that song, but I mean, I'm listening to it all the time. So thank you for that, because you've given me a new Sondheim song, and that's like a really cool thing.
That means a lot to me. Thank you.
Yeah. I wish I hated one of the songs on your CD so I could go right into it and then be like, well, this one, horrible, but I don't have that. So I'm curious, do you have a record label, or did you release this yourself?
So this is a crazy story. I did not have a record label, and I just made this album in my closet, and I was going to release it independently, as I've released all of my other music. And I had released Joanna Reprise as a single. And I reached out to Broadway World to be like, hey, I'm making this album. Here's Joanna Reprise. Like, I think I have something here. Like, can you write an article on me or like feature me in some way? And they emailed me back and they were like, yeah, we're actually really interested in this. Like, we want to do a Q&A with you. So I did the Q&A, and the day that came out, like a couple hours later, I got an email from the president of Ghostlight Records saying, hey, I love what you're doing. I just want to know how I can help you. And I was like, what? Like, I don't know. How can you help me? Do whatever. And we hopped on a phone call, and then like one thing after another, I had like sent him the album. He loved it. And he was like, I wish I could release this album, but I don't want to get in the way of your release. And I was like, oh, you can get in the way of my release. It's fine. So then ultimately, like, we shifted around the release to release it through Ghostlight Records. And now they're like my home base with my Sondheim stuff. I'm very, very fortunate and lucky and grateful. I just can't even believe that happened.
That is so, I love that so much. As someone who's like out there trying to compete with the big boys with his books. I mean, I have my own company, we're real, but we're little, and we're fighting, and it's just horrible. What about a vinyl though? I'm a vinyl guy. Can we get a vinyl?
We are working on it. I promise you, I am working on it, and it's looking hopeful. So yeah.
Yeah, so I need to get that maybe you'd sign it and I'll get it from you.
Absolutely.
You know.
Yeah, you'll know. I will shout it from the rooftops
Okay,
when that
good,
happens.
because I need that to happen badly. So for me as a writer, I want people to stay away from Amazon and buy it from me. What can people do to help you the most? How does a regular person help an artist like yourself get the most from their sales?
First of all, literally just like sharing, like spreading the word. That it honestly does more than people even realize. Like just one click and like opening this up to an audience that I don't even know. Like that is the number one thing. But you can buy my album through my website and the money does go straight to me. You can also support me on PayPal or Venmo. My PayPal is connected to my Spotify account. So like if you are on my Spotify page and feel so inclined to donate, that's there. And like streaming my music really in general, but like besides all of that, just listening and spreading the word is my, it means more to me than any other thing. So yeah.
I know, but it is hard. And like I go through that. So I wanted to give you the chance to talk about that. Do you like social media, or does it take up too much of your time?
I think both. I think I like it, but it also does take up too much of my time. But it's also time well spent, in my opinion. Like social media is the thing that actually changed my life the past year. A year ago, is when I joined TikTok, and since then my life has been forever changed. I mean, that's what inspired the album in the first place. Like I was just backlogging all of my arrangements that I had put on YouTube onto TikTok, and people were like, release it, put it out. And I was like, oh, okay. So
I just love your go get it attitude. It makes me so happy. I just love everything about it. Now I want to be sure we get to a couple suggestions I have for you.
All right.
What about Unworthy of Your Love?
This is a top recommended song for me to do, and I hear all of you. So don't worry. I've got it down on my list. So yeah.
Okay. Also, if you want to go like real deep cut, there is a song called Multitudes of Amy's, which you may not know, but it's cut from Company.
I do know that
really
song.
Good song. The only one I knew that recorded it was Mandy Patinkin, but that's a good one. And I feel like with your layering, you could really give us a Multitude of Amy's.
I will write that down.
I mean, I think that's a good one. Oh, I forgot to say, Unworthy of Your Love is a duet. I'm just saying, you need someone. Maybe you need someone.
I love it.
And then I also have written down Live Alone and Like It and What Can You Lose from Dick Tracy. Maybe a little medley.
Okay. All right. I'm writing this down.
It's a little different, because I know it, I'm getting off the path, but
I love that.
I want to just, give you some advice. Take it, you don't take it, it's up to you.
And I'm writing it down regardless.
So tell me about More. It's your music video that's out and it's adorable. Thank you. Tell me about More. And that's not the Dick Tracy More for those who are listening. This is her original song.
Yeah, I had released an EP of my original music in June, and it's literally one of my favorite things I've ever made. And More is a song that I've learned so much from the song. I originally wrote it in 2015. And then last year, I was just like, why not give my old songs a new life? Because old songs are old to the person that has written them doesn't mean that they're old to anyone else. Like they're actually new to everyone else. And so I kind of wanted to give myself a challenge of what does it mean to revive one of my own songs from years ago and edit it and just take on a new perspective from where I am now. And so that's what I did with that song. It's very different than when I first wrote it, and my just take on it is so different than when I first wrote it, which was very inspiring to me. So I had to include it on my EP, and it's like a total bop. So
yeah. I was surprised by it. I didn't know what to expect because I'd only heard your stuff here. And so it was more poppy, but also you were acting in it, and that's what I appreciated. Like, you weren't just singing the lyrics, you were acting them out. So you were bringing a little bit of Broadway theater to it, but not so much that some pop artist is gonna say, you know.
Yeah, I mean, I always say I'm an actor first, because you can be the best singer or the best dancer or the best musician, but like if you're not telling the story, then none of it means anything. And so when it comes to my videos, and Mess is another music video of a song that I did on the same EP, and like I love telling stories, and the songs themselves are stories. So it's like, how can I elevate those stories visually as well? And it's like, I'm an actor. I'm not going to like not act in my music videos. And I love just having fun with this music. I only write pop music. I don't really, that's the style in which my natural voice comes out as when I write. So it's super weird that people identify me as a folk artist or like an indie artist, when I've just like identified myself as a pop artist for like my whole life writing music. But yeah, it's just, I like having fun when I write and like when I create, and I like touching on conflict and kind of like the push and pull of different types of relationships, and like have it rooted in meaning, but also having fun while doing it.
Right. Well, and I think that really came out. I really liked the song, and it made me want to sample more and see more. And it's interesting that you say, I'm glad you told me that if you buy from your website, because when I clicked on the thing, it gave me a bunch of links where I could get the thing. And that's when I'm like, hey, I just don't want to support the big man. You know what I'm saying?
I appreciate that.
That's just part of where I come from. What song did we not talk about on your album that you want to talk about? I'm going to give you our last song to discuss.
Well, maybe Children Will Listen, because that one is like, has ended up being one of my favorites, but it took it was like the longest to come up with.
Interesting. Why did you struggle so much?
It wasn't, the way I approach these songs is, if they speak to me, they speak to me. And if they don't, they don't. I'm not going to force anything. And Children Will Listen, I knew could be something, so it always remained on my list, but it just didn't come out as clearly for a long time. So I just like didn't force it, didn't touch it. I would return to it. It wasn't happening. Okay, I'll return to it again. And then literally the same night that I came up with my Loving You arrangement, I came up with Children Will Listen. And I was like, how is it that like Loving You came out, and then it like made the gateway for Children Will Listen to come out? And then when I was recording it, I was like, oh, okay, I know what I'm doing, but what if it ends up being a little bit more driving and I do a layering thing with the guitar? And so I came up with the layering in the moment of recording. I didn't plan that. And that has ended up being like one of my favorite things about it. It like is more of a driving folk thing than it ever was in my mind's eye of what it could be. And so there's just something special about like the journey it took from like knowing I wanted to do it to the final product, that yeah, I don't know.
Well, I think this is interesting because I've never considered it, but Loving You and Children Will Listen would make a great medley, because loving you is why I do the things I do. I mean, you could say that to your child as well.
Yeah.
And I've never considered it a song about a love song. I don't know why more people don't record Happiness from Passion. Like right now, everyone's recording Loving You. It's like, that's the one song from Passion people will do. But I've always liked Happiness. Do you know the song Happiness from Passion?
Yeah.
I think that one is so beautiful. And I feel
beautiful.
like nobody's ever recorded that song.
I feel like Passion in general is just like underrated. So yeah.
I agree. And I love Donna Murphy in it. And
it's just everything. She is everything to me.
I know. Have you seen her Could I Leave You on the Sondheim birthday?
So when I was 15 years old, I saw that performance, that whole Sondheim birthday concert for the first time.
Mm.
And it changed my life. And Donna Murphy's like one strand of hair at the end of her singing is like, that performance changed my life. And Donna Murphy singing that song changed my life. So yeah.
Yeah. And I actually tweeted to her when it came out, or maybe when the DVD came out, and said, how did you do that? And she gave me such a great answer, and I'm going to blow it because I don't remember, but it was something like preparation and practice. It was like 2 words that are, of course, why you do anything. But I was like, Donna Murphy has tweeted to me.
Yeah, we chat a bit on Instagram, and I'm like, this is a real thing that like we like know each other, like it's wild.
That is incredible. I just love this album. It has been a soothing soul for me to get through this passing of Sondheim. Luckily, I did get the album before he died, and I didn't have that in me when I was listening to it. But since then, I've been listening to it like over and over again. To be honest, my family's sick of it.
Let them.
They're like, really? This lady again? But I'm like, yeah, shut up. Children will listen. So thank you so much for doing this, and we look forward to what you do next. So I'm kind of getting the idea that maybe a sequel's in the work.
Oh, yes. Yes.
Well, this is great. So tell all our listeners where they can follow you, where they can find you, where you're going to be on tour, and all that good stuff.
Absolutely. So yeah, I'm Eleri Ward. You can find me at Eleri Ward, all one word, ELERIWARD, on Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, all the places. I will be okay, I need to get my dates straight here. Okay, so I'm going to be doing a quick little fun Lord performance at 54 Below on January 26th. It's going to be a blast, and the cast is like so good. Everyone is so good. And then I'm going to Carmel, Indiana, at Feinstein's at Hotel Carmichael on February 4th. And then St. Louis on the 5th. Am I right? Is that right? Or is it the 3rd and the 4th? Hold on. Let me pull this up.
And I just want to say I'm down in Florida, Sarasota, Florida. So if you want to think about maybe, a Florida thing.
Okay. I got my dates right now. Okay. I am going to be at Feinstein's at Hotel Carmichael on February 3rd. And then, I'm going to be at Blue Strawberry in St. Louis on the 4th. I'm so excited for that. It's going to be my first time performing outside of New York City.
Congratulations.
And then I have my debut at Joe's Pub on March 2nd, which is currently sold out. But if they have any more tickets come out, I'll definitely announce it. But I am doing a second show at Joe's Pub on March 16th. So if you didn't get tickets to the first one, you can get some tickets to the second one. Yeah. And then I'll be in St. Petersburg, Florida.
That's right by me.
At Free Fall Theater. Yeah, on the 7th of April. So I'm going to be doing my solo show there.
Well, wait a minute. I live like 30 minutes from there. So that's
God, amazing. Perfect.
April 7th?
Yes.
I'm getting 2 tickets right now.
Amazing. Yeah, free fall theater. And all links to all tickets are on my website, as well as like on my Instagram and TikTok and Twitter and wherever.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for doing this and taking the time out of your busy schedule, because I probably just stopped you from going to your closet and recording all of Roger Hammerstein and putting it out on other CDs. So we appreciate you giving us this time and everything. Thank you
Thank you
so
for
much.
having me. I appreciate it.